All right, what's up, guys? Buck, what's up, man? Yes, dude. Hey, we called ETSU. We called it. We said, hey, ETSU's got a chance. They man, they stayed in there. I mean, dude, you got to credit ETSU's pitching staff, man, cuz they held Tennessee to 6 runs, right? And again, you knew it was going to happen. No team's going to go undefeated. So, Tennessee, a hell of a start to the year. Awesome job by that entire coaching staff. I guess if if you want it to your first loss, I guess you want it hey, may as well not be an SEC play, I guess, And East Tennessee's really good, man. That's the one of the reasons why I thought hey, don't sleep on ETSU because they're really good. They're banging. Their offense is doing really well. Their pitching's doing well. They're actually really performing. So, dude, Liberty beat Wake Forest. Mercer beat Florida State. Citadel almost beat Clemson. Clemson almost only won 6-4. And again, with Clemson, I'm starting to get. They're still winning, right? They're finding ways to win. But Clemson is playing a lot of close games right now. That kid hit a bomb in the 10th. ETSU played some D2. Yeah, man. I mean, dude, ETSU's good, man. They're really good this year. Coastal Carolina barely sneaks out against Campbell, 5-4. South Alabama and Alabama are tied in the 9th. Maybe we tune in. I think we tune in. Southern Miss beats Ole Miss, guys. Again, Ole Miss is one of those teams that is kind of on the bubble right now. Not on the bubble. I mean, it's kind of a hot seat-ish school right now. Dude, Auburn's in a close game with Alabama State, too. Yeah, I'm going to pull up the... the Alabama game, if I can. Where are we? Certainly, this is... I can watch this, right? It's doing the same thing it did to me the other night. Yeah. Okay. Where is Alabama? Certainly Alabama. Wait. Can I not watch the game? It's on ESPN, right? Texas is tied against UTSA right now. Texas tied 6-6 with UTA. I'll just look it up, man. I just went to the feed, but fire me up, Canes. Give us an update. I haven't checked. I know it was you guys are up 6-5. Is it is that still kind of what's going on? I mean, South Alabama. Why couldn't I find that in the feed? I don't know. All right, I got Buck. I'm looking through all the games. I didn't search it. I got it up now. We're watching Alabama, South Alabama. I'll pull up the let's check the Miami scores. Or the Miami score. All right, Miami is up 6-5. Final for Miami, dude. And hey, that's what I said, Canes. Hey, you got to win this game, right? You got to get back in the win column because you go to 5 straight losses going against Florida State, even if it's at home. Dude, all of a sudden you're 0-5, and then you're facing Florida State. So that's a big win, big morale boost for Miami. Big morale boost for Miami. Win on the road against a really good Florida Atlantic team that 64 Analytics has ranked. And now, I mean, you're just feeling better about yourself as a team going against Florida State. Big win from Miami, guys. Big win. And we may be going to into the Canes. We may be going into that Canes post game. I may not, though, because I think, again, it's like, I know what's going to be going on there. It's going to be like, yeah, well, we barely won. I feel like that's going to be the Texas A&M scored some runs. Let's see. I don't believe it. Let's see what they did. It's A&M. But that's what I'm saying, dude. Like A&M's only putting up runs against not like, I don't like saying bad, but just like not nearly as talented opponents. I guess that's the politically correct way to say it. Or teams that they should beat by a large margin. But could be a turnaround type. Why do I have the music still going this so loud? But it might be that turnaround type game they need for the offense. But it just seems like, what's interesting, Buck, is like they will have a midweek game where they'll score a lot of runs and you think, okay, like they've got it back. Boom. Like they're going to go off this weekend. And then in the weekend, they just... Because listen, there's no pressure facing A&M Corpus Christi. That's just the reality. There's way more pressure in the the SEC weekend games. Canes got to commit and a W against a ranked team. Let's in quotations ranked team, but I know what you're saying, Canes. Florida Atlantic is really good. No matter if they're a D1 baseball top 25 team or a 64 analytics top 25 team. Momentum is back. Yep. Now you got to face the juggernaut. Oklahoma being tested by UT Arlington. Yeah, a lot of midweek upsets this week. Crazy upsets. Georgia Tech took care of business today, and they actually did. You guys remember Dusty Isaac said, I think Alex Hernandez is going to be like an opener type guy maybe on Sunday, potentially down the line. Well, they started Alex Hernandez today. He pitched fine. He went 3 innings. Dusty wanted him at 2. He went 2 shutout. Third inning, he gave up a 2-run home run. But pitched really well. Lots of RPI pain tonight. Yeah, man, lots of it. Zach's feeling good tonight. Liberty 11, Wake Forest 8, East Tennessee 7, Tennessee 6, Mercer 9, Florida State 3, Southern Miss 6. But I don't consider Southern Mississippi Ole Miss. That's like an even matchup, right? Western Michigan 4, Michigan 0. Oh, Murray State 5, Kentucky 4. Oh, so we got some other upsets as well. Dude, mid-majors, man. Like, I will say, we talked about earlier today how, like, the parity in baseball, we haven't seen that same parity kind of coalesce in baseball yet. We've seen it in football because of NIL and portal and because every football program is putting their money towards that. But you are seeing it a little bit, right? You are seeing a good number of mid-majors that are really having great years, and that is a part of it. And it's not as much the NIL side, but just the portal side. They're getting, with good staffs at these mid-major programs, they're getting the SEC and ACC kind of kickbacks that aren't playing there, and they're performing well at the mid-majors, and so that's boosting their teams. Yeah, Zach, we're watching Alabama, South Alabama right now. We're watching that. That's the game we got on right now. But you know what? Like Alabama, dude, I don't want to face Alabama in an extra innings game or a 9th inning tied game because they always seem to come out on top. Like Alabama's played a lot of close games late, and they've just figured out a way to win the game. And obviously big inning here, right? Because they walk it off with one swing of the bat. These are the most anxiety-inducing innings as a coach because you're just like, especially if you're on the road and it's a tie game and the home team's at bat, because you just know in this era, man, like someone can just go yard. Like this was a game when I was playing, you saw a lot of like, I remember, I think in my freshman year, we're playing in the ACC tournament in at the Durham Bulls Stadium, and we were playing NC State, and we went like 17 innings in extra innings because it was just like it was such a bad offensive climate. It was tough to score runs, man. And now it's like the complete opposite. Like you're in the 10th inning and the home team's hitting. You're like, oh, please don't hit a home run. Yeah, Texas is tied with UTSA as well. Like possible upset there. We'll probably bounce back between those two games. Dude, you see a ball get hit in the air in extra innings when the home team's up, and you're just like, oh no. Because even like the thing is, you're like, oh, off the bat, you're like, oh, he didn't hit that well, and then it like goes like 10 feet in front of the track. You're like, oh my gosh. Kyle, what would you do with Miami's rotation this weekend? I would pitch Hughes off of Jamie Arnold. So if Jamie Arnold's pitching game one, I'm not pitching Hughes game one. If Jamie Arnold's pitching game two, I'm pitching Hughes game one. So I would just pitch him not against Jamie Arnold. Now, again, like all of Florida State starters have done really, really well. So it's not like you're gaining a huge advantage. But again, Jamie Arnold's like the best pitcher in college baseball. So you want to use your best arm not against him because then, it just gives you a better chance of at least winning one game. Uh-oh. That was hit well. That was hit well to left field. Walk-off home run for Alabama. 3-0 count, too. 3-0 count, green light, man. Man, I told you, man. Like, you don't want to face Alabama late in games. Alabama only had 7 hits on the night. South Alabama had 12. Alabama still finds a way to win. Dude, Alabama, again, against A&M, they only scored 14 runs in the whole series, but they won every game. They just like, if Alabama's in a close game, they're winning. All right, now we're going to Texas game, I guess. Let me look up this guy, Canes, for you. I think he makes it to campus, Canes, just because he's listed as an outfielder, first baseman, so he's basically a corner outfield or a first baseman. So unless people you're not drafting a first baseman super early, unless you think he's like a first, because again, he's not playing a premium position. What the first round guys are typically, unless the bat is just unbelievably elite, you're not taking him super early. The only first baseman you typically see drafted in the first round are college guys nowadays. But yeah, no, he's got the build, man. He's got the build. I mean, he's physical as hell. But just going off of like where he plays, it's really tough for a guy, a corner outfielder slash first baseman, to be a guy that gets drafted out of high school and signs. Doesn't mean he won't. Like, it depends on his signability as well. All right, like if he's signable, he doesn't want like a huge amount of money, then he could get drafted. That's the other thing in the draft is like it's all about signability, and is a guy willing to take slot? Is he willing to take under slot? Did you see the fight between? Did you see the fight between Prairie View and Jackson State? No, I did not. The pitcher for UT Arlington weighs about 130 pounds. He's probably like 6'4", too, right? Zach, we need to find a way to flip that guy. Shoot, man. He may be flippable at the way A&M's playing right now. Explain signability a little bit more. Well, signability just means, what is the guy expecting in the draft? So if you think let's say you think he's a second round talent, right? So he's going to be 7-figure signing bonus slot. But he says in a lot of pre-draft meetings and everything, because scouts will meet with you, and especially if you're a higher potential pick, they're trying to ask questions. They're looking at the family's financial situation. They're looking at all things like that. And he says, "Well, I want 300,000." Well, that guy's probably going to get picked because you're like, we like him. He's very signable, right? So that guy may get picked higher than you think because he's signable. I don't have a clue about. What about this kid committed to LSU? He also hit 2 home runs today. He was on the opposite team as Hartshorn. He hit 2 home runs against left-handed pitcher committed to Stanford, Ethan Klaus. What position does he play, Canes? Man, this at bat by UTSA's hitter has been fantastic. I don't have a clue about college baseball recruiting. I trust you, Canes. Yeah, if he's the 12th highest rated commit, even at LSU, he's probably not signing. Oh my God. Oh my gosh, in this Texas game. If you guys aren't watching, routine ground ball to third baseman. That's the classic case of he just took way too much time to get rid of it, and he started thinking about it, and he just airmailed it to first base, overthrew it, runner scores. Hey, man, put the ball in play, good things happen, right? He strikes out there, the inning's over. And the crowd kind of did it too, man, because as soon as he caught the ground ball, the crowd started going crazy, like the inning was over. And I think that got in the kid's head as well. Yeah, like Canes, that's a scenario where if he's like a big league shortstop, he's rated way higher than even where he is. And so unless he's like very signable, I think he makes it to campus. Oklahoma just walked it off. Jeez, man, a lot of these close games late. Pinch hitter for UTSA, Palmer was a stud at Gulf Coast State. Deaver, does that mean it's bad to tell them your number? Should you try not to tell him how much you would play for, so that way you don't shortchange yourself? Just curious. I mean, again, it's like it could be bad, it could be good, right? If you really want to go play pro ball, and you're still going to get a good chunk of money, but you're not going to get what your slot is. It's all about what you're willing to sign for, right? And again, like, they're looking at the family's financial situation. If they feel like the family's kind of lower income, middle class, like the thought is going to be they'll take under slot. So it's not a good or a bad thing. It can cost you money, right? If you're an elite player, you want to get as much money as you can. And ultimately, yeah, I mean, it just depends on the situation. It's not one way or the other. Why are Arizona and Kansas midweek? That's a good question. The only thing I could think is if, like, Kansas is playing a Thursday series and they're on the, I don't know who's playing where, but like if Arizona's at Kansas, maybe they're playing another opponent close by and they're just going to stay in the area. USC, Arizona State, good late game. Yep. And it's not like he's hitting home runs off me. He's hitting 2 home runs on left-handed pitcher committed to Stanford. Stanford doesn't recruit scrubs. You're right. But like, it's about when you're a high school player. Again, high school position players are really tough to draft early because you just don't know what you're going to get. But it's also about the projectability of the tools, right? So if you think, okay, he's a for sure big league shortstop, that guy's going to be rated way higher. There's a lot of guys that are ranked that high by Perfect Game that are shortstops that will not play shortstop in college. So again, it's about, do major league teams think he's going to stick at shortstop in the big leagues, which means he's like, again, he's one of the best. He'll be one of the best defenders in the world. And all of that. So if they don't see him as a big league shortstop, that his draft stock's not going to be nearly as high, because then he's either a second baseman or a third baseman. There's going to be more pressure on the bat to perform. UTSA still threatening here in the top of the 7th, first and second, 2 outs. Max Weiner just had a visit. Good AB from Palmer. Yep. And again, guys, it's like, man, any free 90 feet you give an opposing team, it kills you. So, like, you don't make a routine play, you lose the lead, and now that one missed play could turn into like 3 runs. Oh, they already had those midweeks scheduled before they switched conferences. Yeah, well, that's a long travel for a midweek game, no matter what. Ethan Holiday going to go 1-1. He's pretty projectable and safe for a high school player. Yeah, and again, he's got big league bloodlines. His brother made it to the big leagues in like 2 years. So that means something to professional scouts. The fact that his dad was a big league star, his brother not only was a really highly drafted player, but made it to the big leagues very quickly. Like that means a lot. That's why they stay like that in football games against certain teams that didn't count against the conference record because they were scheduled before they switched. Would you take Ethan Holiday or Jamie Arnold number 1 overall? I think Jamie Arnold. It depends on the team, right? The team, if you're if you're a team that's competing, trying to compete, you think you have a team that's going to be really good in a year or two, like you're taking Jamie Arnold. If you're a team that you feel like you're 3 or 4 or 5 years away, you're taking Ethan Holiday probably. Because Jamie Arnold could probably pitch in the big leagues right away, right? So if you're a team that thinks you're very close to competing, you're taking Jamie Arnold, I think. If you think those guys will make it to campus, that gives me a lot more confidence about our commits making it to campus. Deaver, what are your thoughts in terms of development on a guy going to pro ball straight out of high school versus going to college? Listen, like college is a risk, right? Because going to pro ball right out of high school, you got guaranteed money. There's a lot of guys that go to college and they turn down, like Drew Burress, he turned down 7 figures out of high school. So the risk there is you go to college and you get exposed and you're not nearly as good a player and you end up signing for, like, again, still a lot of money, but like 100,000 versus $1 million. So it's, it's part of that. Zach, Nationals have the first pick. Yeah, it's also, I'd have to look at the Nationals farm system, right? If they have a lot of really good young arms, maybe they want to add another one. It's also you're making decisions. There's really two different strategies. Even in the early picks, it's like, all right, we're going with the best overall player. We're going with the best overall player, and whoever our guys have as the best overall player, that's who we're going with. Whoever number 1 on our board is, if he's there when we pick, we're going with him. Or it's like we're getting the best of a group of players who also fit our organizational needs. So it's still hard to say. You'd have to look at what the Nationals are, again, what their front office's view is of their team over the next couple of years and all of that, and their farm system and all that stuff. I haven't seen anything from Magana or Dubovik in all the games I've seen this season of them. What I saw from those two kids on PGTV makes me think they are going to be studs in college. Man, it's so hard to predict, right? Because I played with so many guys who were like top 100 perfect game guys, and they ended up like never playing in college. So, and these were guys that performed well at events and all that stuff. So again, what the college level introduces, and why so many guys go on to be really successful pro ballers and big leaguers out of college, is they go to big time programs where it's must win pressure and it's high pressure, right? So you learn how to deal with that pressure, and you learn how to have success underneath that pressure. And what the high school guys really never have is they never face must-win pressure until they get to the big leagues. So that's why you see a lot of high school guys who maybe even do really well in all the way up to minor leagues. They get to the big leagues and they're just not nearly as good. It's because that pressure of, if I don't perform, I'm getting demoted, or if I don't perform, I'm getting put on the bench. Like, they've never dealt with that before. Whereas a college player deals with that for 2 or 3 years. So you're used to dealing with that. And you get to the minor leagues and it's about development. You're like, I don't even got to worry about my spot being taken. There's no pressure here. I just got paid a bunch of money and I have time to develop. I'm not worrying about going like 2 for 12 on the weekend and getting put on the bench. Right? So that's the advantage that college players have, is that they've played in high stress, high pressure environments where their performance dictated if they're in the lineup or not, or if they're in the starting rotation or getting a lot of innings. And so they get to the big leagues and it's still more pressure than they've ever faced, but they've faced similar pressure to that. What round would an MLB team take a flyer on those 2 players I mentioned, and how much money would be tied to that pick generally? I'm asking because I want to see how much our commits would turn down by coming here at their respective slot. Again, it's too nuanced to even give an estimate because I don't know the players well enough, right? Like, scouts that are watching those guys are watching them dozens of times over a 1.5 year, 2 year span. And so they have a much better feel for the type of player, where he's going to fit. Like if I don't know anything about the player and just know their perfect game rating, I don't know anything about them. But let's say a team thinks they're good enough to get drafted, but they're not a top 10 round guy, but they have some guys sign under slot in the first 10 rounds. Maybe they offer them like 300K in one of the back half rounds or 400K or something like that. Like you do see that happen. Again, it doesn't happen nearly as much because there's only 20 rounds. So you feel like, again, if you're drafting a guy now, you want them to sign. Whereas when there was 40 rounds in the draft, and even before that, when it was like 60, you could take a risk on drafting a kid because you still had a lot of picks outside of that pick. Like now with 20 rounds, if you don't sign a guy, that's 5% of your draft. That's not signing. So you can't signability is way more important now than it ever was, especially for those later rounds, because again, like unless you feel like there's not a lot of room for guys to get put into your system and you can miss on a few guys, you're not going to take as many risks on a high school guy. And UTSA gets them 1, 2, 3 in the bottom of the 7th. So it's just there's just too much nuance, Canes, to really know. I'm watching this fight between Prairie View and I don't know who the other team was. I'm trying to figure out how this fight even started. Oh, it looks like the left fielder ran in and started like fighting. Yeah, it looks like the left fielder ran in and just like started talking trash. No, it's like an actual fight, Canes, and then like crazy. I seen a massive fight at our ballpark between Miami and Louisville. Even the fans were fighting. Yeah, just watch it, Canes. If you watch it, the guy hits a walk-off, and then the left fielder runs in and like gets in the middle of the team celebrating, and then it all hell breaks loose. UConn looked really bad today against Duke. Yeah, I saw that. They got crushed. It was around when you were playing. It was before Twitter. But why would Louisville be playing Miami? Because Louisville wasn't in the ACC yet at that point. When did they join the ACC? It was after I was done playing, maybe 2015, 2016. Because my junior year was 2013, and they weren't in the ACC. So it was either 20. I don't think it was 2014, maybe 2015 or 2016. I'm old, man. Back-to-back walks. And the top of the eighth now has UTSA with runners on first and second, one out. I remember the benches clearing against BC in the Supers. Yeah, Deaver, it's between Prairie View and I don't know what the other team was. But yeah, they it looked like the left fielder for the team that lost instigated it. He like ran in to the middle of the team celebrating at second base, and then everything happened after that. And Texas doesn't even have a guy loose yet. There's a guy with a jacket on throwing pitches right now, but Jackson State. Can UTSA hold on? Well, the guy that's pitching for him is throwing strikes, right? So they're not. Texas is going to have to earn it. They're not getting any walks. Oh, wow. Man, I'm old. So John Boy said that the brawl ensued after Jackson State's left fielder blindsided a Prairie View A&M player during the walk-off celebration. Man, Texas's crowd is loud and in the game. Like a ball that's definitely off the plate for ball 3, they're all freaking out. Credit UTSA. Dude, how old am I? I'm like yawning and it's 10:48. Their hitters are putting up really good at bats. Like they're fighting off pitches, they're working counts. Like they're just not making it easy for the Texas pitchers. Like look at that, man. He's just fighting it off, man. Just fighting it off. And I can tell you, like, if you ask any pitchers, like when they're in an at bat and just like every pitch is getting fought off, it's just like a complete confidence killer. Because you start thinking to yourself, man, stuff must not be playing that well if guys are just fighting it off every at bat, every pitch. And now this is like what, a 7 pitch at bat already. This will be the 8th pitch of the at bat. Fights it off again. It was ball 4, but and that's what separates guys that are really good with 2 strikes is like they're really good at fighting pitches off, but they also when it's a ball out of the hand, like they are not pulling the trigger. Right? So Texas may have gotten away with one there if this ball ends up getting put in play for like a double play or something. Another ball 4. Yep. Ball 4, he pops up to the infield fly. But 2 pitches in a row are ball 4, but he's in so much he's almost too defensive, right? Like he's trying to fight off everything. And you get 2 pitches in a row that are at your shoulders that you trying to fight off. And yeah, swung at 2 balls, right? It's ball, either one of those is ball 4, like instantly. So Texas gets away with a little bit there because it could have been bases loaded, 1 out. Uh-oh. That looked an awful lot like last inning, like routine ground ball, a lot of time to get rid of it. Texas running out of time. 6 more outs. What's up, MSM? What's up, man? Hey, dude, you hadn't been in here in a while. What's going on? What's going on, man? We're watching Texas UTSA. UTSA trying to pull off the upset. JV and travel ball started, so 7 days a week right now. Oh, yep, I get it. My team's been on spring break, so we first game back tomorrow. So it's an early game too. It's at like 4. So it'll be a short stream in the middle of the day tomorrow. Coaching the kids, man, love it. So at least you're doing something productive. I get it. That's a good enough excuse. We've missed your commentary, though. We've missed it. I got to listen to Zach and Canes and Buck in here all day. You know, it's like I need someone to mix it up. The key in these late inning tight games as a pitcher is to just get the leadoff hitter out. Like when the leadoff hitter reaches in this situation as a team in the dugout, you're like, okay, we're tying this thing up. We're getting back in the game. We're evening it up. As soon as the leadoff hitter gets retired, you immediately there's kind of like the air gets all out of the dugout. Like the energy kind of dissipates because you're like, okay, we got one out now. Like it's way less chance of us scoring. So UTSA, man, like you're the pitcher, just get the leadoff hitter out. Don't walk him. Definitely don't walk him. Two counts even. Good at bat right here. Good at bat by Texas. My son gets his first JV start tomorrow on the bump. Hey, good luck to your son, man. Good luck. Remember, it's just a game. It's just a game. Oh man, now we're even. And this is deflating too, as a defense and a pitcher. When, dude, Zach, you better not be ahead of me somehow. But you just went from 0-2 to 3-2, so you were like, okay, this guy's out. To now you're like, oh no. Yeah, Zach, you're ahead of me, and you spoiled it. Wow. Really kind of like a weird swing, but he crushed it. Tie game, man. Tie game. And again, like, you get him 0-2, and then you throw like really, there was only one close pitch there. So just really bad sequence after getting to 0-2 because you basically gave the guy a couple auto takes out of the hand that are not what I call decision pitches, where like the hitter has to make a decision. An auto take out of the hand, it's not a decision because it's so far out of the zone. It's just like out of the hand, you know it's a ball. I don't need to make a decision. I just put the bat on my shoulder. So when you're ahead in the count as a pitcher, especially with like 0-2 count, 1-2 count, like as long as the pitch is a decision pitch where it looks like it's going to maybe be a strike, it starts in the zone and the hitter's got to really track it. Nothing worse than losing an 0-2 hitter, 0-2 to the hitter. Yeah, 100%. Because now as a pitcher, you're like, man, I had him 0-2, and then somehow I got it to 3-2, and then he hit a bomb. LSU at Texas this weekend. You think Austin will be rocking? Dude, it's rocking. It's rocking against UTSA in the midweek. It's going to be sold out, packed, loud. And there's going to be a lot of LSU fans too. He just sat fastball and went for it. Yeah. And again, in that situation, it's a good 3-2 count to sit fastball because think about it. Like if you're a UTSA, you don't want to walk the leadoff hitter. So you're going to challenge him, which is it's the right play. Like just challenge him, hope for the best. And unfortunately, it was like middle. I don't know if it was a high pitch, Buck. I think it was kind of middle. I got it being middle. It was it was heart of the zone pitch. So you threw it right down the middle, which again, like you want to throw a strike there. And the guy's throwing 92, 94. So it's like you're going to go with a fastball in that situation, up by a run, leadoff hitter up. We can play the tape, but I think it was middle. And here we go again, man. I will say that 0-2 fastball looked like a strike. It probably was a little bit off, but it gets called a strike a large percentage of the time in college baseball. But now you're at 2-2. You threw a non-decision pitch, and then he makes up for it. But again, it's too close to take. That one's probably a little bit off. But and to his defense, it might have been even a little bit further off than the 0-2 fastball. I will say he set up in, so the catcher did reach for it, and that's usually a good sign. Like, you watch how much the catcher has to move his glove to make the catch. And so when you see the catcher reach, like if he set up on the outside corner, it's a ball. But he was set up kind of middle in, so it was too close. His slider is not competitive at this point. Yeah, that's the issue is his when he gets ahead 0-2, he goes to the slider and it's just nowhere near the zone. It's not starting in the zone, right? With 0-2, you want that slider to start out looking like a fastball kind of near the bottom of the zone. So the hitter's got to really make a decision, and that's when you get those chases, but his is starting out of the zone already, out of the hand from the hitter's perspective. So it's just like, it's not a pitch you're going to get a lot of swings on. And even like that one right there, 0-2 slider, up and away, like you're just not getting bites on that. Yeah, he's doing a great job getting ahead of hitters, but he can't put them away. He can't strike them out because the slider is just not an effective pitch right now. Strike three. Yeah, strike three. Man, these guys are taking like way too close to pitches, man. And again, the zone in college is way tighter than it used to be. So, like, that's a pitch I'm pulling the trigger on every time. Troy Tulowitzki's getting on the umpire. Troy Tulowitzki's getting on him, but it's like, come on, Troy. You know that's too close to take. You know it. In the big leagues, that's a ball, but that's about it. That's about it. Yeah, it's way too close to take. But I do see that now. Like, that wasn't an excuse when I was playing. Like, if you took a pitch 3 inches off the plate and you got rung up, like, you might be getting some words said to you by your coach when you're walking in the dugout, like, hey, what are you doing taking that pitch? But in a maybe a little bit meaner way. Now what I see is because the zone's tighter, like, kids feel really confident in being like, that's not even close. That's not a strike. And it's like, dude, and I told this to our high school team. I said, you guys think the strike zone is that rectangle that you see on a big league game? That's not the strike zone. The strike zone is what the umpire says it is. So, in the first inning or the first 2 innings, and we know, man, this umpire is calling it 4 inches off the plate. He's just got a bad zone in general. With 2 strikes, like, you got to make an adjustment. Like, you have to be able to pull the trigger on a close pitch. The guy pitching for Texas now is a transfer from UTSA. His teammates from last year are going to be like, I hope we just get him. How many times do we say it? You are down 0-2. If it's close, you better swing. Yeah. And again, I think it's just another way players these days are like, well, I have an excuse. I can say it wasn't my fault. It wasn't a strike. And it's like, no, that goes in the stat book as a strikeout. So it was a strike. And at the end of the year, no one's going to remember that it was an inch or 2 off the plate or 3 inches off the plate. They're going to know it was a strikeout. The pitch was middle. You're right. Just an odd swing. What was that attack angle? Yeah, it was an odd swing. Like he like really opened up early. It was strange. Outfielders are in no doubles depth. You see how deep that left fielder was, so they're in no doubles. So in this situation, you're willing to concede a single, but what you're not willing to do is give up a double or a triple or, obviously a home run. Unless you rob it, it's gone. But basically, in no doubles, you're taught as an outfielder that if it's hit over your head, it cannot fall for a home. It cannot fall for a base hit. So it's either a home run or you catch it. So you play like right in front of the track because like you're not worried about a single falling in. Even if they hit a single, you're going to be in no double still because a double is going to score a guy from first. So you're just conceding singles here to prevent an extra base hit that gives them a runner in scoring position. Don't leave it up to the umpire. 100%. 100%. The thing is, like, it's crazy how loud the Texas crowd is for this UTSA game. And look, UTSA is playing really well, 16-6. Zach and Canes, you guys we didn't say it. Like Miami upset FAU. That was one of the big upsets of the midweek. I think Max Wiener calls a really good game. Like I love that. I love the pitch call there. Like you get the swing and miss over a slider, and then he tries to go fastball in. And now you have so many different ways you can go. Because what I see a lot of guys do is they see that slider swing, and they just automatically throw slider, and then they try to throw it again, and then it gets hit. even the announcer thought it was strike 3. I predicted it in the day stream. Yeah, you did, man. Upset alert. Upset. Miami's on upset alert earlier today against FAU. FAU unis are ugly. They deserve the loss. That's diabolical, Buck. That's diabolical. That is completely and utterly diabolical. I was thinking about this the other day, guys. So with the safety bag now, like how confusing is this? So you hit let's say you hit a ball and then it's like I'm just like thinking as a base runner, like you hit a double. Like now you have to hit the regular base. You don't hit the safety base. So the safety base is only on like a single. I'm just thinking like as a runner, it'd be confusing because you're like setting up your angle to touch the real base. Oof, that changeup is gross too. $88-mile-an-hour changeup for Texas's reliever. UTSA transfer. I'm gonna stay on for the bottom of the 9th, and then if no matter what happens, I'm taking it to the house. No, they have to avoid the walk-off now. Yep. And like I said with the Alabama game, in like this era now, when you get to extras as the opposing team, you just feel like you're at even like worse disadvantage because it's just like teams are hitting like on average there's like 3 or 4 home runs hit a game between both teams. So like you just know one bad pitch, the game's over. All right, let's see what's going to happen here. Again, hey, get this leadoff hitter out. Get the leadoff hitter out. Don't let him reach base. Don't let him hit a home run either. Friday night guy in the 9th inning. So he's only going 100%. He's only going 1 inning. This is going to be his midweek bullpen, basically. And that was not uncommon when I was playing. I remember Alex Wood for Georgia, who was their Friday guy. And I think 2nd round pick for Atlanta that year. He would come in 1 inning against us. And it was just like basically him throwing his middle of the week bullpen session. "71 pitches in 2 innings is crazy." Yeah, that's a lot. Oh! Man, as a hitter, that is like the worst. When you crush a ball, it hits off the pitcher. It hit him in the leg, so he should be fine. It looked like it hit him in the quad. But it like somehow bounces right back to him and you're out. It looked like it hit him. Actually, I think it just below the knee, actually, on the muscle of the calf. That high stress, too, makes it worse. He will have a nice bruise in the morning. Yeah. But usually, like, the areas like that don't bruise as bad. Like, the areas that really bruise, like, if you get hit, like, in your, like, right below your butt in the hamstring, like, by a hit by pitch, like, that will bruise up and be there for, like, 2 weeks. And I think that's because there's, like, a little bit more fat in that area. I'm not a doctor. Don't take my medical advice. You guys saw the JFK files were released today, by the way, right? That's interesting. Haven't done my look into that yet. Maybe I'll do that while I'm laying in bed. And of course, I tell you guys I'm going to stay for the bottom of the 9th, and then this happens right here. These are Texas boys, man. They ain't backing down. Gets that nice yellow color to it. Yeah, it does. Dude, I have like Graham, what's up, man? Night, Kyle. I watched the recent vids. Great as usual. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Dude, the worst hit by pitch. I don't know if you guys remember Justin Masterson, who pitched for the Indians for a long time. I was facing him in AAA, and he was like a low slot, like kind of like in between submarine, and he's like a sidearm guy. And like a lot of arm side run, like mid 90s fastball, and then like a really sweepy slider. He threw me a slider, and it just had so much movement out of the hand. I knew it was a ball, but I didn't even try to like jump out of the way because I just didn't think there's any way this pitch is going to hit me. And it ends up hitting me right where your shin bone meets like the muscle on the very front of your calf, like front of your leg, right where that shin bone ends, and right where like the muscle on the right part of my right leg meets it. Ooh, base hit for Texas here. And I'm not kidding. Like, I'm permanently deformed from that. And I have like a bubble that sticks out from the front of my right shin. And it's not that big. It's like probably this much. But like if I flex the front part of my calf, the front part of my leg a certain way, it sticks out like this much. And when it hit me, and it hurt like hell. And I'm walking to first again because I had to be a guy. Like, I could not afford to go on the DL. I had to be ready in case something crazy happened in the big leagues. And so I'm limping, but I'm like, I'm fine. It'll be fine in an inning or whatever. I ended up, so the next inning I'm on defense, and I feel this like crazy pressure right where I got hit. Like, it just felt like there was, only way I can describe it is there's a lot of pressure right next to where that shin bone ends in the front of your leg, the bottom half of your leg. And so I pull up my pant leg and pull down my sock, and I'm not kidding. It was swollen up like this big. It was like a baseball. It was like a baseball on the front of my leg. And so I stayed out there the whole inning, and I run in, and I call the trainer, and I'm like, hey, what do you got on this? Am I good, or like, should I be worried? We need to go to the hospital? And he looks at me and he's like, well, can you run? Can you like walk? Like, is everything fine? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It doesn't really hurt. It's just like, I feel this pressure. And he basically said what happened is I just kind of like, I don't know what the terminology is, but some kind of like membrane or sac got busted open a little bit there. And it just made this like permanent extrusion from my leg. So, and it's still there. Like, and that was like 8 years ago, maybe. And then that same game, the swelling of it had gone down. And I slide in, like one of my next at bats, I got on base. I don't remember how, and I ended up like a pass ball when I'm at third base. I end up sliding in to home in that same spot, like hits the spikes of the catcher, and it blew up like a beach ball again. And I'm thinking, oh God, like now I'm really messed up. And so it just ended up making this permanent, like little, it looks like a bubble underneath my skin that's about, sticks out that much, and it's about this tall. Yeah, hematoma, I guess. I mean, maybe that's what it was, but yeah, my trainer looked at it and he was just like, "Oh, you good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." All right, 2 outs here for Texas. Can they get the walk-off? This guy's got a good arm for a UTSA. Sliders at 90. Fastball is like 94, 96. Pretty solid arm for UTSA. This guy could start for a lot of ACC and SEC schools. But they got to, like, the thing is, like, let's say he walks this guy right here. All of a sudden, if you're UTSA, you're starting to worry a little bit about, like, we don't want him throwing 30 pitches, right? You kind of like, I think coming into this inning, you're like, we want him to go 20 or less, and this next pitch will be 15. And if he walks a guy, now he's at 15 pitches without and having to face another batter. Now it's 3-1. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, base knock. Oh, hit the base runner, though. Ball's out. Hit the base runner. Inning's over. But you know what? His buddy gets a hit for that. Buddy gets a hit for that. Respect. I've never... That did happen to me once in my career. But like one like that, it's tough to be like, how does that happen? Because when it happened to me, the guy hit it with like a bunch of side spin, and it was going behind me, and it bounced directly at me. But one like that, you just gotta you gotta get out of the way, right? But all right, guys, that's it for me. That's a break right there, man, because that was a for sure hit, definitely a first to third. So big break for UTSA. All right, guys.